Well, I'm an engineer by training. I started off as a structural engineer.
In our family, yes, when we build something, my mother's conscience is so heavy that she joined WWF.
One of the things that used to irritate me or weigh in on my conscience is that, whenever you create something new, when you build something, you end up destroying something. You're building over something. So
True.
that sort of like was heavy on my conscience. So that was one of those things that actually got me to sustainability.
My generation started at school, at university, were already into talking about sustainability in England. And the practice that I worked with in England was already talking about sustainability. So one of my first jobs coming back here was Telekom Malaysia. And we wanted to do it sustainably. I mean, from passive design, orientation of the building to, we were already talking about water harvesting, flexibility, energy consumption. We were looking at radiant cooling, all these sort of new technologies, but I guess not everybody was ready for it.
We started way back in 2007, where in a group of like-minded people, companies, entities, people, we got together and then we decided that it is time that we form the Green Building Council, just like in other countries, in the States and Australia and Singapore, and drive this industry towards sustainably built solutions. That's why we got together. It was a big struggle getting people on board and thinking along the sustainable built solutions, sort of getting that sort of mindset going. The launch of the Green Building Index through PAM and ACAM, that was a fantastic, great milestone.
That was. We were surprised how the industry actually reacted in a good way, positive way, and in 2.5 years. We have now more than 290 buildings registered to go green. And the fact that 290 projects are coming in to become green in just 2.5 years has been great. So the milestone for us is seeing on the first inception.
The take up by the industry.
And the take up of the industry, I think.
Yeah.
We really want a tool that will guide for building in the tropics, and a tool that will guide to build in the tropics and in Malaysia. So it's context and climate. This tool has been created for. So it's not something that you can use in Australia or in America, and neither can we really use their tools here because they've designed their tools, although they sort of say it's international. They've designed their tools for their country, to meet their country needs, and we've designed ours to meet our country needs where we are developed at the moment. I think that the more small projects that we see, I'm one who believes that the God is in the details and in the small things as much as more so than in the big things. The guy on the road who's building a semi-D or terrace house and he's going to buy a house, wouldn't it be great that he kind of knows how well insulated his building, his house is going to be, so he doesn't have to spend so much money on air conditioning? I don't know about your air conditioning bills, but if it's 300 or 500 ringgit a month, it's quite a lot. And if he's collecting water, look, we live in Malaysia, we have the most abundant amount of water, but we are one of the world's largest utilizers of water. Really, we consume more than the United Nations basic standard, and we live in the tropics. So to collect water is not as complicated as everybody thinks. It's very simple for the guy on the street. Somebody said, oh, well, how is this applicable to somebody who lives in Ipoh in a small kampong or whatever? Look, if you used to have the telaga, so instead of having the telaga, let's put it on top of the roof and collect the water, or have the telaga and collect the water.
Exactly.
For me, the big move will be that all terrace houses, you have this, when you want to hire a car, and in Europe, they actually tell you how much gas and how green that car is. So why have we bought a house and it tells you how green that house is? And yeah, you paid 20,000 more, but in 2 years, you've paid that through your air conditioning, your electricity and water. And you're going to live in there for another 18 years at least. Eco Nights and My Harapan, two foundations are merging together to do this Anugerah Hijau. I think it's great. We look forward to seeing what comes out of it just as much. And the kind of workshop that we're going to have with Anugerah Hijau, I always say there's always something to learn, even for mostly for us as much as it is for you. So there's always something to learn as long as you're open to learning.
I think it's fantastic. It's great that you guys have taken the trouble and have invested the time to engage the next generation and really getting the kids involved in events like Anugerah Hijau.
I think teaching the idea that it doesn't take very much to go green. It also doesn't take usually that much more money, or it doesn't necessarily have to cost more money to go green. So I think changing that perception, and by having competitions like this where people show how creative and innovative ideas could be in fashion, design, space, I think it's a great way. I think the enthusiasm in creating this kind of competition and pushing the agenda
and reaching out to the next generation,
I think it's fantastic, because for me it becomes an inspiration back to myself. Sometimes you get jaded when you're working in the industry and you're dealing with the hard facts of money and all the rest of it. We become more inspired by being involved in these kind of projects. It gives us a perpetuality, I think.
It's a very humbling experience actually to be working on projects like this, and we adults sometimes overcomplicate things, and this is what we would like to see out of Anugerah Hijau. Simple, workable solutions. I personally would like to see all of the rooftops in KL green. That would be a starting point.
That would be interesting. Bring down our heat island.
If you look at, if you do a Google search, you look at any map, Google map, you would see the amount of grey. That's the city of KL. If I could turn all of that green, that would be fantastic. That would get me to sleep.